got you. You said that'll be a 350, didn't you?
I did.
I like that.
Thanks.
I like that. Yeah.
We got style here.
It's got swag to it.
Yep, that's right. Nothing says swag like this show. Do you have a Seth Collins update for us?
Oh, I can't. I wish I could say everything but I can't tell you exactly. I'm praying for Seth and been around him a little bit, and we're giving him all the support we can. And I hope that we can give an update soon that'll ease everybody's minds as we go through here. But he's a tough young man, and it's an unfortunate scenario. It's something very difficult for him, obviously, and his family. Extremely difficult, as anyone would know, and hard for the team. But there's a lot of unknowns that we don't know, and I'm not in a position to be able to talk about it. I wish I could, but I can't. Follow the rules.
We don't need to get into specifics, but when something like that happens, how do you address that with the team? And just, what kind of effect does that have when young men are forced to deal with something that isn't a sprained ankle, it's not a torn ACL, but something that could really be serious like that?
That's the crazy thing is this is our third one. We've had a couple cancer scenarios, and now we've got this scenario, and it's way different. You're exactly right. It's not he'll be back next year, or even quite frankly, he can't play anymore because he has to retire from football, but he's okay. This is way different. And when you're talking about scenarios that are like that, it's very, very scary for the kids. I think communicating, talking to them as a group is imperative, and letting them know that if they can come and see us individually if they needed to. I think our kids have handled it remarkably well. He's part of their team, and they love Seth and are concerned and absolutely remain concerned. But it hasn't hampered them. If it's anything, it's probably pushed them if there's another notch to push these kids to keep on grinding and fighting, maybe that's another little notch that'll be there. But it concerns me for young kids. Their minds can get distracted very easily, and I'm not saying distracted from football. I'm saying distracted from life and confused on why these things are happening and why those situations are out there. So we just talk about it, and our kids know that we have an open floor at this football offices, that if there's anything those kids want to talk about, we're here for them. But it's just educating, and you feel it's hard. This has been for me, a very hard week.
Yeah, I can imagine. I want to piggyback off of that into something before we get into this game, something a little off the beaten path, but I'm curious your opinion because it applies to what you're talking about, just a little different scenario. There's a former player at Oregon who is in some real trouble now. He's been arrested again. He's got some severe mental illness, really has gone down a bad road. And he struggled when he was at Oregon to try to keep it together. I just, in general, want to ask your opinion on, it's such a family atmosphere when you're in the program and when you're coaching the kids. But what is your approach to ex-players who maybe don't have that structure once they leave your program and they get into some hot water? Have you ever had a situation like that where you've had to reach out and help kids long after they've moved on in life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I feel I want to be very tight to them. I want to be as tight as they'll allow me to. And there's been times when I don't hear from a kid for years and years and years, and something doesn't go their way, or there may be an issue or some problem that's out there that they need help with. And Stacy and I are absolutely more than willing to be involved. You obviously want to educate yourself on the scenario and the situation that the young man's in, but I think that's a coach at the end. I think you're a coach forever, and I got a young man right now that played corner for us at Utah State and was a very successful player, very successful NFL player, and he's battling like crazy to find a niche to get on a team right now. And a year ago, everything was wonderful. Talked to him this morning. So, and but there's things that they go through: marriages, there's children. There's a young man that I have in Utah this last year who had horrible situation with a young child who had a horrible form of cancer and was going through some crazy times, and now that baby appears to be in good shape, and I guess it's a year later now that so those kids reach out, and I want to be here for them. So I think it's important. To me, it's very, very important as we go through life with these kids to help them, because to me they're always going to be kids, and I still kind of consider myself a kid, but I'm 52, and some of those guys now are mid-30s, almost 40, and they're still kids to me.
Yeah, just because I think a lot of people have that perception, and unfortunately, I think it is a reality that a lot of times, as soon as the eligibility's up, it's like, what can you do for me anymore? And I feel like a lot of times it separates right there, and you no longer have use for the program, and they no longer have use for you.
Yeah, I hope that's not out there. It's not been in a program that I've been associated with, and again, I haven't been with very many programs. So, but where I am and where I was raised with Ron McBride, that never happened. And if that ever happened in any way, shape, or form with the programs that I've been around, that coach would be out of there pretty quick. And that doesn't go to say that sometimes you don't give them tough love when they leave either. It's not just, hey, coach, I've got this problem. Many of those times are self-inflicted wounds that have got them into that spot, and there's still life lessons to learn. So I'm still going to be hard. I'm still going to be aggressive. I'm going to be tough on them. I'm not just going to be this giving guy that says, yeah, I've got when you coach. If there's issues, then I'll be aggressive with that, and I have no problem being that way either because they know me by then.
Is it harder to run a program with kind of that philosophy? Because I do feel like there are programs that run that, and by all means, we've talked now for 2 years with you, and we have no doubt you run your program that way. It seems like to me, though, there are a lot that just take the easy path. How much? I'm trying to think the best way to phrase it. Just how much time and energy goes into that versus you do see a lot of programs that just don't seem to care.
Oh, I think a lot of time and effort goes into that. A ton of time and effort goes into that. I've missed 2 football practices as a head coach, and one of them was this week, and one of them was when I fell down and broke my neck. So but that's just me, though. I'm going to do that when I have an opportunity to help a kid and be around them in any way, shape, or form. And our coaches, I hire them that way. First thing I ask them, that's all I care about. Can you take care of kids and can you recruit? That's it. I don't care about the X's and O's. They'll figure that out and they'll get all that done and they'll take care of it. But and taking care of kids is when it's good, when it's bad, when it's indifferent, when they're here, when they haven't graduated. We've got a number of kids on medicals right now, and we try to track those kids as close as we possibly can. Some need to be tracked a little more than others, but they still know that if they walk in here and say, Coach, I'm struggling with this, we're going to be there for them. Some of the kids last year that when they left this program weren't in the best of standards and the highest standing in my mind, but 3 of those kids now that weren't with us at the end of the year have gotten jobs, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get a phone call from them and ask if I would help them. And I did. Absolutely would help them in that spot because I thought that they deserved that and they need it, and they're moving on to being successful citizens with a degree and working hard. So I don't have all the answers, but I just know I'm going to help them if I can because I want them to succeed in life. I made that commitment to them a long time ago.
Gary Andersen, Oregon State, they're taking on Arizona this week. Bright Ogwebu is now done. You guys are banged up, man. How many, do you know offhand how many starters you've lost over the course of the season?
25.
Ooh,
so,
goodness gracious.
Yeah, not that I'm counting, but it is. It's 25. So I've never seen anything like it, but you know what? Hey, just think of all the experience the other guys are getting. How about that?
That's true.
Look at you pulled the life of Brian there. Always look on the bright side of life, Coach.
Exactly.
So when you look at it here, the last handful of weeks, with the exception of maybe the Washington game, even in the second half, though, you guys battled them tough. You have been in every single game. So what is the one thing that's keeping you from pulling a Cal and getting over the top? Or is it multiple things, if you can point out that you need to clean up in order to maybe win these last 2 against Arizona and Oregon, which right now look like very winnable games?
Well, I think it's as simplistic as it sounds. And you guys know the game very well, obviously. And we all go through the ups and downs of seeing kids make plays and being in that position. But it's just an opportunity to make a couple more special plays. And a lot goes into that. Coaching, yes, absolutely. Individual ability, yes. Recruiting, all those things go into that. But that's where we're at because we're playing with toughness. We're playing with physicality. I think we've got ourselves in a spot to be in games, and I'm really proud of this football team that their ability to walk off the field at the end of games and have the other team understand that, yes, we will get physical with you is way different than it was a year ago. And you're never going to have the discussion we're having right now if you can't be in that part of the football game. And we got pushed around a lot last year in those scenarios, and that hasn't taken place this year. We fought those fights. So the next step is all of us continuing to understand, respect this process, make sure as we move forward this week and next week and into the future that we're putting the kids in the best position that they can to make plays. That's very difficult, has been very difficult this year as you continually put those pieces to the puzzle together. And but those waters should calm as we go forward. Even if we do take the shots, we should have more experience in those positions as we go. But that's, to me, that's what it is. It's the coaches continually working hard to adapt the scheme to the players. Everybody doing their role, the players accepting their role that they have to make those plays. And players make plays, players win games. And really good recruiters give you an opportunity to be in a position to go to bowl games and win championships. And that's exactly where we are.
So last year, obviously, it didn't go the way you want. And I would have, if you would ask me for an honest assessment, not that my opinion matters, but after the first 5-6 weeks of the season, I was saying I think this team is probably 3 years away. You look at the last 5 or 6 games, though, and as you mentioned, even with all the injuries, this team being in so many games, are you further along, in all honesty, right now than maybe you would have thought to start the season or after a couple of weeks?
With what we've dealt with, yes, because I'm really impressed with the toughness and the ability of some of our young kids to be able to get in there and hang in there in a Pac-12 game. I'm not saying they're going to be there all Pac-12 players as freshmen or brand new kids in our program, but they've done it and they've accepted that role. I'm really proud of the leadership, and there's some seniors involved in this that won't be with us next year, but there's some underclassmen seniors that have allowed those kids to have the confidence and hey, you can go out and get this thing done in those adverse situations, especially at the outside linebacker position. I've mentioned this before, but I just think the job that Coach Chad has done with those, he's on his third rotation of kids as they've come through there, and that's tough. It's hard for the kids mentally, it's hard for a coach mentally, and it's hard for the team to look at him and say, okay, this next guy up. So I would say yes, in the answer to that question. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as you guys know, we've got to find a win football games, and but you got to be in them to be able to win them. And we've changed that culture, but we want to win. We want to get to bowl games. We want to play meaningful games right now. We want these last 2 games of the year to mean a lot to as far as the win column and where we're going to bowl games and the things that we're competing with. And I think we've closed that gap. I said at the beginning of the year I expect to be a much improved football team. I think we had the ability to really be a much, much improved football team. Even in the win-loss column, that didn't take place. And again, there's no crutches. There's no what could have been, but I think we've improved.
So just McMarion against UCLA, what's the situation in which you would switch quarterbacks and go to Connor?
Well, it's the flow of the game, kind of seeing where it is and exactly where the situation is with Connor. And, Connor is doing a good job in practice. And, we've got to make sure that we've got the right guys there to be able to get into the game and be able to win. And it's been a little difficult to get the reps that we need for Connor throughout practice, and he's been a little tweaked here and a little tweaked there. So we got to be careful, be smart, because we don't have another one. If we lose Connor, then it's going to take Mason Moran out of a red shirt with 2 games left of the year. We don't want to do that. Obviously, we had a backup plan with Seth, and that backup plan is no longer there. So it's Marcus's show to take it and run with it, and we'll see where the whole thing goes. It's a tangled web we weave there.
Yeah.
We need to keep Marcus up, right, and healthy.
Right, and Nall's back?
Nall, I expect to have 2 fantastic games the next 2 weeks.
Very nice. Us too. All right, sir. Good talking to you. Good luck against the Wildcats.
Appreciate it, guys. Hope you have a great day.
You
Go
too.
Beavs.
All right. Hey, he's a good dude, but I think what you were getting at with that question is...
I couldn't figure out exactly how I wanted to phrase it, but...
Well, and he said it's just the type of person he is. I think that's your answer, is that you're right. So many coaches, even if you're a good person, it's just easier because your paycheck comes only if you win games. None of the other stuff it doesn't matter to your family's livelihood. What does is win football games. And so it would be very easy for a coach to say, you know what? I know Cliff Harris is in trouble, but I got football games to win. He has parents. He has friends. It's just easy. It is the easy road. But Gary Andersen, I think you just got to be a really good type of dude, like Gary seems to be, in order to tackle it the other way, and that is help no matter what.
And I don't think a lot of programs are like that. And he said, and he's a Ron McBride guy, grew up in that whole Utah culture. And I do know Ron McBride. He was the coach of my rival, but always had a lot of respect for him as a coach. But I Chris Peterson's one of these guys. I just think I don't know if it's rare, but I think there's a lot less of those programs and more of the, hey, when you're done, no offense, but we're cleaning out your locker and we got to move on. And, we're not going to spend time and resources on that. And I think that's unfortunate. Like with the incident that's going on right now with Oklahoma, where, the kid says, hey, I'm going to go out and I need to do what's best for me. I need to get ready, to try to go on to my NFL career. And, obviously you had a coach come out and basically call the kid out. And
Stoops, the other Stoops.
The other Stoops. I just think there's
he's quitting on
I
his
think
team.
there's a lot of, we expect you to give everything to us. And I don't think very often that goes the other direction back to the athletes.
Yeah, but it seems like it does with the Gare Bear, which you did not call him.
I did not. I'm working on it.
I think it's got to be in person.
Well, the conversation took a very serious turn early, and that kind of set the tone for not calling him Gare Bear.
You got to be careful when you first throw out a Gare Bear, man.
I think it's a Pac-12 Media Day type of.
I feel like that's the case. Yes.
Type of insert.
Next year, I throw it out and see what happens. Because if you throw out the Gare Bear too early, the whole thing goes south.
Right.
It's like double dutch.
We shouldn't mess this up.
I got to time my way in. You don't just go jumping into the middle of that.
All right, we got to go.